My name is Munir Sheikh Ahmed, MD, CEO of National Bank of Kenya. This morning, I've hosted the real estate and construction finance discussion on the KBA webinar. Generally, a very robust discussion both ways, from a banking perspective, from overall financial perspective, as well as from the consumer of those products that banks and financial institutions offer in terms of real estate financing. There are, of course, advantage and disadvantage to either of the two options of acquiring a mortgage or a house. One is building or constructing, which is the predominant mode. I think the last research done showed 68% of Kenyans do build their own houses rather than buy a ready-made one using a mortgage finance. The advantage of that, obviously, is you avoid the margins that the developer will place on the property that he has developed for sale because you'll be using your own financing. However, the drawback of that is you have to have sufficient funds to complete your construction in good time. It normally takes a lot longer when you are doing a build from limited sources of income, especially if you are on salary. And as a result, that's the drawback that you'll see. But as I said, you'll have some savings on the cost of the property. Whereas on the buy, you will be able to access mortgage finance, and therefore you need just to raise a small deposit, and you'll acquire a high-value property very fast and repay it over a long period in small installments. The real estate is a critical part of the overall economy, so it's an important sector to which banks lend financial resources so that it can develop housing, whether they are commercial or residential. And the banks do facilitate the development of that sector because it's both an integral part of the economy, a big part of our GDP, and it's also developmental in a sense that it also provides the housing that's required by the population. Real estate will continue to be an important part of our development and financing area for the simple reason that we are at early stage of economic development. Our population is growing and it's young, so there'll be need for more housing. There's a lot of rural-urban migration, so therefore there'll be more need for housing in urban areas. There is economic growth, which requires office spaces to be created, factory spaces to be created, warehouses to be built, and all the logistics that are associated with a growing economy. Therefore, we see it as a very robust area of growth. There's always a concern, are we overinvested in real estate? I don't think we are at this stage of our economic development, given that the government's deliberate policies of infrastructure as well as Vision 2030 gets realized. We see this as a very lucrative area for any financier, as well as an important part of the country moving forward in its economic development agenda.